This is the second Yamaha RX-V370 receiver that I got from my friend. It's a dumpster dive. I did a video on the first one that worked, tested it out, worked fine. This one has a problem. This one is completely dead. So I guess we'll have to open up the hood and try to find out what's wrong with it. I do have a service manual here. I was lucky enough to get from Hi-Fi Engine, so at least I'll have documentation to work with. And this one is in pretty good shape. The other one had a pretty bad dent in it. This one has a scuff mark on it, but other than that it looks pretty good. So I'll open the hood and we'll take a look inside and see if we can find anything that jumps out and gives us a hint as to what's wrong with this unit. So stand by. Here's a look inside the unit here. One nice thing, you can see we got discrete power devices here. No STK modules, which is good. But something just jumped out and gave us a really good clue of where the problem is. Let's see if you notice it. I'll give you a hint. Got two bulging capacitors here. So these have a problem here. Here's the power supply over here. Power supply comes in, there's some, looks like some filtering. Here's a relay here, and then it feeds into the primary of the power transformer, and then the secondary comes over here, connected to some other boards. We've also got some windings here that go directly to this board here. Bunch of relays on here. Likely part of the protection circuitry here. I'm going to remove, well, let's see, I'll have to remove, looks like if I take the back off, I'll have to remove this board here to get access to these caps. And unfortunately there's no bottom panel, so the only course is to complete disassembly here, so that will be the next step. You can see why a lot of people don't like to fix these things. Here's the back of the unit, which I removed after removing a ton of screws. I could rotate this board out of the way. Unfortunately, here's the main board that these caps are on. And as you can see here, all of the power devices are soldered to this main board. I'm going to have to remove every one of these screws so I can disconnect and pull the board out. Now, unfortunately, in the old days they would have had a panel on the bottom of this unit that you could have taken out and had access to the bottom of the circuit board. But not so today. These things are not designed to fix, at least not economically or very easily. Here's the main circuit board out of the unit, of course showing the bulging capacitors here. Something I noticed after I took it apart. For some strange reason, somebody cut this ribbon cable here. This is before me. And this board here has the on-off switch on it. So I don't know why they did that. Guess we'll never know. It's a nice receiver. I hate to scrap it, but man alive. It does have some nice parts to salvage if I decide to salvage this thing. You can see all the output transistors here. We'll have to consider this. I'm going to pull these two caps out. They're obviously bad. I'll pull them out just to see what they look like electrically, and then we'll test those next. Then I have to make a determination whether I actually want to fix this thing. I got one that works. If anything else, this one could be a donor. We'll see. Does have a lot of good parts in it though that I can salvage. If you look here, we've got some unpopulated sections on this board here, and obviously they probably use this heatsink with another stereo unit here, because here we have the two surround speakers, the center speaker, the left and right. So we have the left and right, we got the two mains, and then we have the pairs for the center and the two surrounds. So those aren't obviously not needed on this amplifier here. First I thought somebody had removed a couple devices there, but yeah, that was never populated. What to do? Well, if I want to get this thing fixed, first I'd have to repair this ribbon cable, which could be done. It's not that big a deal. I don't know why they cut that to begin with. Of course, then I'd have to replace the two caps. Here's the two capacitors. They're bad. They both measure bad, real high leakage, and you can see the bulging on the lid here of the cap there. I don't know what, I don't see any other signs of bulging caps anyplace, which still doesn't mean they're any good. These are 6800 at 63 volts. Fairly common cap. I got a bunch of those. I could replace them, I suppose. I don't really have a use for this amp. Like I say, I got one that works. So the question is, should I repair this or should I just scrap it for parts? I'm leaning towards the latter. I don't know if I want to go through this. Nice transformer here. Anyway, what would you do? Would you fix it or scrap it? Put it in a comment if you have an opinion either way here. This came out of a dumpster, and obviously someone's been in here before because of the cut ribbon cable. This would have been so much easier to fix if, like in the old days, they would have had a panel on the bottom here that could be removed. Remove a couple screws. Wouldn't have taken much, you know, just stamp it out, have a piece that fit over it, a couple sheet metal screws, that's all you'd need. Then I could have removed these caps without removing all the boards here. Then just fixing these ribbon cables wouldn't have been such a big deal. So I don't see any other signs of damage on here though. A lot of these surround sound receivers, they're nice receivers, but they're not easy to fix. And I suppose the manufacturer, you know, in order to build them cheap, they had to cut some corners here and there. But if I do salvage this, of course the output transistors, power transformer, those relays, maybe the emitter resistors here, and the amplifiers. Here's the front panel board here that has the headphone jack and the main power switch, this little push button here. And I can't understand why someone cut that cable. Doesn't make any sense. This video is turning more into an autopsy than it is to a repair, I'm afraid to say. Here's the front panel board. This is mounted here. It's got a nice vacuum fluorescent display here. That might be worth saving. in case the other unit, the display goes bad. What happens a lot of times with these VFDs is they lose their vacuum and then they get real dim. You can't read them anymore. I don't know what condition this one's in, of course, because I couldn't power it up. The other one was in fairly good condition. So, well, I've thought this over, and I think I'm going to scrap this and salvage the parts that I deem to be good and useful for other projects. So I'm going to do my cannibalization, and then I will be back to show you some of the nice parts you can get out of these units. You never want to throw these out. There's always some good parts. Even if it's just a line cord, you know. It's worth saving. Anyway, stand by for that. Well, after careful consideration, here's what's left of the amplifier. One of the reasons I decided to cannibalize it was someone had went in and cut a ribbon cable. And when I saw that, I thought, you know what? I don't really need this thing. And it has some good parts I can use. And here on my bench are some of the parts that I scavenged from this unit here. Really nice transformer here. Got some RCA jacks. They come in handy for stuff. Here's some binding posts for speakers, and here's some binding posts, not binding posts, but terminals here. They're spring loaded. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 miniature relays. Here's a nice full wave bridge with its heatsink. That'll come in handy for something. Here's a little transformer, 115 volt, 120 volt primary, probably for a standby power supply here. Here's some emitter resistors here out of the outputs. Got an optical encoder here, that'll come in handy. But one of the main things that really made my decision was right here. I've got 5 pairs of complementary output transistors. This is the C5198 and the A1659A. These are Toshiba transistors. The C5198s are rated for a collector voltage of 140 volts and a collector current of 10 amps. And the A1659A, which is a PNP, these are NPN and PNP complementary pairs. These are rated at 160 volts at 10 amps. So these will come in handy. I haven't tested them yet, but I have a feeling they're probably good. This thing was completely dead, and the fuse wasn't blown, so obviously there wasn't any catastrophic failure here. Sometimes you just have to decide whether it's worth fixing or not. If this piece of equipment had said Hewlett-Packard or Tektronix on it, I would have looked at it a lot different, put a lot more time in it. But some of this consumer electronics, it's just not worth fixing. It's not really designed to make it easy to fix. And in my case here, the parts here are more valuable to me than the actual receiver. So, although this wasn't a repair video, there are a lot of good parts that you can harvest out of this equipment here. Especially these output transistors. These are getting harder to get. Getting matched sets of PNP, NPN. These are complementary. So this video turned from a possible repair to a cannibalization to a scrounging surplusing of valuable parts here. So these will come in handy for one of the next things I have to fix here. So don't throw your old electronics away. Even if you just keep the line cord, always save something. There's always something valuable. Thanks for watching. That's it for this one. I'll see you in the next one. Maybe we can fix something. Bye for now.